Welcome to episode 7 of the online writing workshop. In this episode, we arrive at one of the most critical stages of the novel writing process, revision and editing. If you've come this far, congratulations! Completing a first draft is a significant milestone, but the journey toward creating a polished and publishable work is far from over. Revision and editing are the steps that will transform your initial draft into a refined novel, ready for publication or sharing with your readers. Whether you're a seasoned writer or a first-time novelist, revision can feel daunting. However, by approaching it with a structure plan, you'll find that it's not only manageable, but also a rewarding phase where your story truly comes to life. Understanding the first draft. The first thing to remember about your initial draft is that it's just a first draft. This is your raw material, a vessel that holds your ideas, characters, and plot, but it's likely far from the polished, final version. Most first drafts are rife with errors, including typos, grammatical mistakes, and inconsistencies in logic or story development. It's important not to be discouraged by this. Rather, see it as an opportunity to improve and refine your work. Think of the first draft as the sculptor's block of marble. The story is in there, but it needs chiseling and shaping to become the masterpiece you envision. With patience and focus, revision and editing will allow you to carve out a version of your novel that's not only readable, but compelling and engaging. The importance of taking a break. One of the most overlooked yet essential steps in the revision process is taking a break from your manuscript. Step away from your text for a little while after you completed the first draft. Whether it's a few days, a week, or even a month, this time away allows you to gain emotional distance from your writing. When you return, you'll read with fresh eyes, which will enable you to spot issues you may have been blind to while immersed in the writing process. This break doesn't have to be entirely unproductive. During this period, you can engage with other creative projects or catch up on reading. The important part is that you're giving your brain the opportunity to shift gears and reset. When you come back to your novel, you'll likely be surprised at how much clearer the story feels and how much easier it is to see what needs work. First read through, a critical eye. After your break, it's time for the first read-through of your manuscript. Approach this stage with a critical mind, not as the writer, but as the reader. This is where you need to put your editor hat on. Here are some key questions to guide you through this stage. 1. Does the plot make sense? Does every scene contribute to the story, or are there parts that feel unnecessary or unrelated? 2. Are the characters well developed? Are their motivations clear? And do they experience growth throughout the story? 3. Is the pacing appropriate? Does the story move too quickly or too slowly at any point? 4. Is the setting well established? Do readers have a clear sense of time and place in each scene? 5. Does the dialogue sound natural? Are conversations believable, and do they help to reveal character or advance the plot? Keep a notepad or digital document handy to jot down thoughts and comments as you go. You may want to highlight sections that stand out as problematic, make notes in the margins, or write down any questions that arise. This step is about identifying the broader issues in the manuscript: plot holes, character development problems, inconsistencies in tone, or confusing transitions. Focusing on the core elements, plot, characters, and structure. During this first round of revisions, focus on the big picture elements of your novel: plot, character arcs, and overall structure. Ask yourself, plot, is the story coherent and engaging? Does it follow a logical progression, or are there gaps or unresolved threads? Plot holes can often arise in the first draft, and it's your job to spot them and fix them. Ensure that your plot makes sense, that the pacing is smooth, and that your climax and resolution feel satisfying. Characters. Are your characters consistent in their behavior, and do they evolve over the course of the story? Do their goals, motivations, and conflicts come across clearly? It's important that each character's actions are justified and that they are multi-dimensional rather than flat. If you find that some characters aren't serving the story, consider reducing their roles or merging them with others. Structure. Does your novel have a clear structure? Is there a logical flow from one chapter to the next? Is the timeline easy to follow, or does it jump around too much? Your story should have a sense of forward momentum, keeping readers engaged and invested in the outcome. These large-scale revisions are crucial to making sure your novel's foundation is solid before you begin fine-tuning sentences and fixing minor errors. Fine-tuning language and style. Once you've addressed the big picture issues, it's time to turn your attention to language and style. This is where you polish your prose, making sure every sentence contributes to the overall tone and mood of the story. Here are a few things to look out for during this stage. Clarity and conciseness. Are your sentences clear and to the point, or are they overly wordy or vague? Tightening your prose will make your writing stronger and more impactful. Repetition. Are you repeating words, phrases, or ideas unnecessarily? Too much repetition can dull the impact of your writing. Voice and tone. Does the narrative voice remain consistent throughout the novel? Are there shifts in tone that feel out of place? Correcting grammar, spelling, and punctuation. After working on the bigger issues, it's time to focus on the details. First drafts tend to be riddled with typos, grammatical errors, and punctuation mistakes, but don't worry. These errors are often easy to fix during this final phase of editing. Spelling and grammar. Run a spell check through your manuscript, but don't rely solely on digital tools. They won't catch everything, so be sure to carefully read through your text as well. Punctuation. Ensure that you've used punctuation correctly, paying close attention to commas, periods, and dialogue tags. Misused punctuation can confuse readers or interrupt the flow of the story. Formatting. This is also a good time to make sure your manuscript is properly formatted, especially if you plan to submit it to agents or publishers. Check industry standards for manuscript formatting, including font, spacing, and chapter breaks. Consistency and continuity during revision. It's crucial to look out for issues with continuity and consistency. Sometimes characters or events will change in ways that don't make sense within the story. For instance, a character may start with one name in the first chapter and a different name in a later chapter, or an important event might occur twice without explanation. Look out for these kinds of mistakes and ensure that your story is consistent throughout. This also applies to smaller details such as time of day, weather conditions, or location descriptions. Keeping track of these elements is key to creating a believable, cohesive narrative. The value of beta readers. Once you've completed your revisions, it's helpful to seek out beta readers. These are people who will read your manuscript and give you feedback from a reader's perspective. Beta readers can be friends, family members, fellow writers, or even people from writing communities. Their fresh perspective will provide insights that you, as the writer, might not see. Encourage your beta readers to be honest in their feedback. Ask them questions like, did the plot make sense to you? Were the characters believable and relatable? Did the pacing feel right? Were there any parts of the story that felt confusing or slow? Beta readers offer a valuable outside perspective that can help you spot issues you may have missed in your revisions. Hiring a professional proofreader. Once you've gone through multiple rounds of revision and incorporated feedback from beta readers, consider hiring a professional proofreader. A proofreader will catch grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, and formatting issues that may have slipped through your self-editing process. While it may be tempting to skip this step, a professional's eye can make the difference between a manuscript that feels amateurish and one that is polished and professional. Engaging with your audience. If you're self-publishing or sharing parts of your novel online, audience engagement is key. Pay close attention to reader feedback, as it can offer valuable insights into your story. You might notice patterns in the comments, which can help you understand how readers perceive your plot, characters, and writing style. This can be especially useful if you plan to release a sequel or continue improving your craft in future works. Conclusion: the journey of a novel, revision, and editing are not just about fixing errors, they are an opportunity to transform your story into the best version of itself. It's a long, iterative process, but with every draft, your novel gets closer to the polished gem you set out to create. The key is to be patient, keep an open mind, and embrace the changes that will help your story shine. Stay tuned for future episodes of the workshop, where we will dive deeper into the exciting world of novel writing. Happy revising!